this Tuesday, the 28th of October. Now, this month, as I've been saying the last couple of weeks, it's just flying by already. So I hope we're all doing extremely well in the chat. Hope we're all doing extremely well, whatever you're doing today, whatever you're up to on this Tuesday. This week is going quick already, so I can't believe it. If you've never been here before, we're a Man United fan channel. However, we are, in my opinion, a little bit more than that. We are one of the best communities on YouTube. We might be small, but we are definitely the best, and have some amazing people in here as well. So when I say this, I mean this is that get into this chat. This is an amazing community to be involved with. Try and be as respectful as you possibly can to the people in the chat. Dino Hughes, how we doing, JB? I'm doing extremely well. I hope you are as well. So respect is what this channel is built upon. So please be respectful to the chat. Be respectful to the moderators. Be respectful to me. Be respectful to yourself. Otherwise, the ban hammer comes out and you will get banned. And the beauty of this channel is I do pretty much read most of your chats. Hence, that's why it takes so long in these shows go on for so long, because I really do respect your opinion, and I do hope that you respect mine. I'm not a dictator of this chat. Just because I have an opinion doesn't mean that that is the end of the discussion. I have my opinion, you have your opinion, and that is what we do on this channel. So Scott says, what's good, JB? All good, my friend, all good. 7-point gap now, says Wayne. So JB still think top 7 is a no. We'll come on to that, because I've seen some fucking ridiculous things today that I do need to say, and I do need to call out in regards to our position. We've got some stuff on Sancho today, which we'll talk about. We've been saying this. I was saying this in the transfer window about him, a little bit on McTominay. So McTominay leading with McTominay today. Some interesting stuff on Scotty McTominay. The midfield side, Zirkzee Manioo, and a 16-year-old, Kevin Filling, 16 years old, Swedish player, plays for AIK. So we can get on to that as well. So I'm going to get on to, and I think, Dino, that's a good way to open up. Wayne says 7-point gap now. Welcome to Wayne. As I said at the start of the show, we have rival fans who come on here, and some of the most respectful fans. Wayne is one of those. Big up to Wayne, an absolute legend on this channel, a Liverpool fan, and I think where Liverpool are going through their troubled time, it's always nice to console another rival fan. You're right, Bournemouth are second. Sunderland are there as well. It's one of those topsy-turvy league campaigns. You get these every so often. We are only 9 games in. I think and that's a good transition to Dino there. It's 9 games in, and I think we do need to think and talk about this. So Dino says, do I think there's a top 6 is still a no? Now, for me, this is this is an interesting topic of conversation. Now, do I think that, given this side, given how we're playing, do I think top 6 is on? Now, do I think it is? Or, okay, I'm going to rephrase my answer. Okay. Do I think it's possible, and should it be possible with the squad that we have, the amount of games we have per week? My answer to that would be yes. I am still unconvinced. Now, the reason why I say that is because ultimately, and I'm going to talk about one of the stupidest things I've ever seen this morning, and I'm going to call it out because I think it's only fair to call it out, and I will call it out because I think it's fucking ridiculous, and I think sometimes it's done for clicks. I think the talk about top 6 is correct. I think when you're those teams right now, they're everything from 10th to second place right now are in those conversations for anywhere from second to 10th. You can argue about those Champions League spots. Do I think Arsenal are going to run away with it? Possibly. Arsenal do have a little bit of a dip traditionally. So it's whether or not teams can keep up with that. Now, I think the best of the rest, it really depends on, I think, who can go on a run of games. Now, are we capable of going on a run of games? This is where the conundrum is. So we've only won 3 games in a row. And I think we need to be very, very mindful of that. 3 games in a row over the last 18 months, the last year, we need to be mindful. Because just because we've won 3 games on the trot doesn't necessarily mean that we are back. So look what we're saying in here. So one of the ridiculous things I've seen this morning, and I am going to call it out because I think it's only right. So the United stand this morning, and I don't know how they produce their shows, and I don't know who's in charge of all that sort of stuff. Right now, I don't traditionally watch the show. I just saw a headline this morning, and the headline or the show was, "Can we win the Premier League?" And I just, as much as I respect the channel, they are the biggest channel, I feel sometimes those channels need to be kept in check. I just think that asking and fucking posing a question that can we win the Premier League of a team that finished 15th last season, Bournemouth, I know they're second, but the manner in which we lost, we won 3 games on the trot for the first time in a year, and I think for certain channels who are big and massive, I think have a responsibility to this fan base and the responsibility to people to put content out that has to be logical and has to be fair, and the clickbait of that I think is fucking ridiculous. So I think and I wasn't necessarily going to bring that into the show, but now we are talking about things like, can we finish in the top 6? And I think we do. And look, and as much as I'm going to support this team and I want this team to do well, and my opinions are starting to change on this team. The better we do, my opinions on the transfer window will increase. If we finish in the top 4, then my stance on the window just gone. I would have to give it a better score. Now, I would hold my hands up and say, but based on a logical opinion, based on basically where we finished last season, I think I'm right to predict 10th. Where we are now, are we seeing a spark of something? And I think that is probably the question here. So I think is my mind changing on finishing, say, from 10th to between 10th and 6th? Right now, I think there's optimism from me that we can, but let's see where we are at Christmas time. And I think for channels, the biggest one to even put content out there suggesting that are we in a race for the title, I think is irresponsible. I think that for a fan base that's toxic anyway, I think for people who are maybe younger, who are watching the channel, and then they're going to go in and they're going to get fucking ridiculed at school, get absolutely destroyed on the basis that they're suggesting that can we win the league. Now, I feel like they're hedging their bets. We're having a good season or good last 3 games, and are they hedging their bets? So I just saw that today, and I just have to call it out. I just have to. How can we as a fan base right now, and as much as I'm positive about this side, I'm all on board, and I'm supporting players like Luke Shaw, Casemiro as well. My opinion's starting to change on him. My opinion's not changing on Luke Shaw, but I will support him. I will support this team, and for the first time, I'm starting to predict wins. So I'm moving away from players necessarily, but I think we need to be careful. I think we need to be tempered. Let's get through the next 2 games, because My question that I'm going to pose now is, what happens if we lose the next game? What happens if we lose the next 2 games? Now, I'm hammering in. I've been hammering in since the start of the season, the Grimsby game. I absolutely stuck there. Now, because we won 3 games, we're suddenly Champions League contenders. We're suddenly Premier League contenders. I think we have to take each game as it comes, and the closer we get towards the end of the season, then that's when my opinion will start to change. And it doesn't mean that my opinion is the be all and the end all. This is just how I feel right now. Scott says, if we carry on our form, then we're going to change from top 5 to top 3. We play Arsenal and City back to back in January. A huge loss for Napoli. Kevin is injured. What do you think? Look, I'm not bothered. Napoli. I respect the opinion, and again, come on here and give me your opinions on non-United stuff. I think it's very, very unfortunate for him for the way that he got injured taking the penalty. But outside of that, I'm really not bothered. Wayne says, I think Klopp could make a return. Wayne, could Klopp make a return? He could do. But the only problem for me, Wayne, with Klopp making a return is sometimes you shouldn't go back. Will it be the same? Will Klopp still have the same magic when Jose went back to Chelsea? Was it the same? No. So I almost think that sometimes if you leave for a reason, you should stay. MNL Edit says, do you like Bruno Fernandes? I think that Bruno Fernandes has been a wonderful player. Okay, it's not whether or not I like Bruno Fernandes. I don't know him as a person. As a player, I find him very petulant. I find him very unpredictable. But what cannot be disputed is that he at moments he can be world class. He's been petulant. The last 3 games he has been much better. Would we be a different team without him? Would we be a better team? I don't know. For me, Bruno Fernandes is that conundrum. You put him in that 10 and he's one of the best players in the Premier League. For me personally, at his age and the money that we could get, would I sell him? Yes. But I by no means think that he's a bad player. I think he's petulant and I think it's his time to go. But he's been a fantastic player for this club. Dino says, clickbait, 100%. I'm actually disappointed. I genuinely, I don't know who produces their shows. Now, I wouldn't normally call anybody out because that isn't my style. But I think when we're already as a fan base, we're only ever 1 game away from hammering out again. I think is very, very naive, and I think it's very, very poor of them to put out that sort of clickbait shit, because I don't know whose idea it was to put that out. I just find it irresponsible. I saw you selling, Kush 22, idiot. If Liverpool are in the title race, we are, mate. Look, MNO Edits, it's different, mate. Look, I absolutely, logically, I understand what you're saying, right? I get it completely. But Liverpool have lost 4 games and are still there. We are not that club. Are we hitting a purple patch? All I'm saying is, whilst it is mathematically and accurately to say that right now we are in we're in a purple patch and we're keeping up for the places high up the league, to suggest that we're in a title race is fucking ridiculous. I am sorry. Liverpool, whether you can say that they're in a title race at the moment, are they in a title race? Every single team right now, I'd argue with you, right? Every single team, other probably from 1st to about 12th, you could argue that they're in the race. Whilst there's 6 points different, 7 points, that's 2 losses, right? You cannot argue that, right? But to suggest right now, the club that we have been, to suggest that we're in a title race at this point in time, I think is ridiculous. Doesn't mean to say that given time, we're not. But I think it would be very, very premature, naive to suggest that we are. Now, it's easy at this point in time to go, we definitely are. And then come the end of the season, like where we are lifting like the title, and then you can come back and say, see. But there is no way that you can predict that now. There is no logical way based on the last couple of seasons. Based on last season, we're still going to have results where we're going to get trounced. We still don't have a proper midfield. We're still going to come up against teams that will attack us, and that pivot is absolutely crazy. But I completely get that. I do completely get if Liverpool are in a race for the title, which at the moment I don't think they are. Anything's possible. Kevin McGee says, Bruno rules. You see his intelligence for the last goal. Look, Kevin, I am not disagreeing that Bruno is a fantastic player. For me, I think his time is done. But Bruno for 2 years hasn't been consistent enough for me. And just because we're winning, and this is the problem with this fan base for me, is that the moment we start winning, the moment we win 3 games on the trot, everything is forgiven. Everything is forgotten. Bruno Fernandes, where was he the end of last season when we could have been in the Champions League? Where did he go? He's been petulant last season. What about Bruno the first 3 to 4 games this season? You know, I will support him now. I will support this team. I've got my own opinions on these plays, but right now that is not the thing. But I'm not forgetting the last 18 months, because the moment that you do forget that, these plays will let you down time and time again. Dino says, realistically, the team is nowhere near the Prem title. I believe we are slowly seeing the United engine turning. Dino, and I'm with you. I think we absolutely need to temper expectation. Let's go game by game by game. Because if you're predicting a title race and what you're saying is we're basically going to be winning, we're going to do something that we haven't done for years, and we're going to be consistent, and we're going to win game after game after game. I think we're struggling, but some people don't like him. Yeah, the trolls can do one. Ever think Bruno's petulance and frustration comes from him playing with no striker or other top targets for Solomon? Kevin, and mate, you make a fantastic point, Kevin. The frustration and petulance could be because of the players around him are not at the level, and that is a valid point. But my only caveat to that would be I wouldn't care. I need a captain to be a captain. Now, when a captain disappears, I don't care what your players are doing around you. There's a level that Bruno needs to stay. Focusing on other people around you, and I do understand it, but there are times when he doesn't even perform as a captain, and that is my problem. I don't mind Bruno Fernandes not playing well based on the position that he's been asked to play or based on the players around him, but there is a certain level and there's a certain expectation that I have for a captain of this club, and he's not been up to that standard. CR7 says, I love you, New Look. Thank you, my friend. What's the discussion about today? So we are going to go through McTominay possibly leaving, coming back to the Premier League, Zirkzee Manioo, Kevin Violin, and Sancho. Marcus says, absolutely, logically, unequivocally, realistically, probably agree. Excellent. I'm here. Alicia West says, hello, Shoe Guy, zooming in from Colorado. Hello, Alicia, hope you're doing extremely well. Wayne says, no, they're not getting relegated. Don't insult my club. Bruno got more goal assists for us last season than McTominay did for Napoli. PL's levels above the Italian league. Bobby says hi. Now, Grace, respect your opinion, legend of the channel. Goals and assists, I'm adamant on this. Bruno Fernandes is a stat padder. Bruno gets goals, Bruno gets assists, but the eye test doesn't lie. And I'm sure there are stats out there, and again, people can use stats to put over to you whatever rhetoric that they want to. Right? I could go and find some isolated stats to tell you how Fernandes has lost the ball. Fernandes has made errors. Fernandes hasn't been great. But I'm not going to do that because I fully respect that Bruno Fernandes contributes more to this team than most people. He's probably contributed a lot, but it doesn't hide the fact that his performances haven't been up to standard for the last year. Kevin McGee says, where was Bruno last season? 12 contributions in 19 games. Where was it everyone else? And that second half of the season, a non-prem. Kevin, fair point. But we finished 15th, mate. You can quote goals and assists at me all you like, but we finished 15th last season, and Bruno Fernandes was the captain of that. We went through to the final and played Spurs. Where was Fernandes then? Where was his goals and assists then? When we got trounced last season and we were abjectly awful last season, where was Fernandes then? If you watch Fernandes last season, I watched every game last season. Fernandes on the eye was shit. And I'll have that debate with anybody. Where I will agree with you, Bruno Fernandes last season got us goals and assists. And without that, you can argue all sorts of stuff. But Bruno Fernandes was not good last season. Bruno Fernandes come up with goals and assists. That's fine because Bruno Fernandes gets the ball. He shoots from everywhere. I would look at his shots to goal conversion rate. I'd probably look at any errors, interceptions, and all that sort of stuff. So whilst I completely agree that Fernandes, and this is not going to be the Bruno Fernandes show, I absolutely will agree that he came up with stuff. But we finished 15th last season. And where was Bruno, the captain, in that final? So again, I don't mind people quoting goals, assists, but it's not just about goals and assists. Where is the inspiration to this team where we finished 15th last season? Where was the inspiration to the team in that final? Where we played Spurs' second string. They had half of the team out and we were absolutely shit. But that gets forgotten because Bruno's played well in 3 games this season. Bruno does go missing in big games, but the last 3 games he's stepped up. Scott, and I agree with you, doing well in the Champions League, but not in the Premier League. On the other channels, it becomes less about the quality and more about the views. How do you get views? Put more content out, and that's the headline. Exactly that. Can't see Arnie Slot lasting. Who's your favourite player right now? My favourite player right now is Ahmad. I really, really do like Ahmad. Can I see Klopp coming back? I can. I don't think he should. Richard, would you have sold Bruno this season? We sold McTominay instead of selling McTominay and put Scott in the number 10. If not, we were right to sell him since Bruno was always number 1. I'm not going to lie. There's no content out me. There's no content of me out there at that time saying what I was saying about Scott McTominay, right? And I'll be completely upfront. I wanted to sell this player. I saw the attributes that he had, but I was of the opinion that whilst Scott McTominay again was playing out of position in that, I think that 8 role, that 8 or that 6, he was not right. So I was of that opinion that he needed to be sold. I was of the opinion that Bruno Fernandes should have probably stayed on the basis that stat padding. Look, Bruno Fernandes gets goals and assists, right? That is what we needed at the time. Nobody could have known. And again, this goes back to the toxicity in this club. This goes back to the Erik ten Hag era. This goes back to the non-footballing side. This goes back to the toxicity that runs through this club. And you can't just isolate and just have that debate and say, should McTominay have gone? Because at the time, Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, we had all these sorts of players in this squad that were impacting everything. Not to mention, we didn't have a footballing side. We had bankers in charge of this club. We had all sorts of these people, non-football people, in this club. And this is what slightly, because we've won 3 games, everything that's passed seems to have forgotten. And it can't be. Dino says, it's easy to say we should have stayed, but the McTominay was not playing well. Dino, and I agree with you, but it's amazing. The memories are short because we're winning games. So McTominay, let's talk about McTominay. And again, guys, this is some fantastic chat, guys. I mean, I again, this is why I love this, is because people have their different opinions. If I agreed with everybody, it would be so boring. If you guys agreed with me as well, I think it would be ridiculous. But guys, I do absolutely respect the opinions. So McTominay, let's go through Scott McTominay. Now, Scott McTominay, McFred, there was a reason why Ferguson loved this player. Now, obviously, when he left, all of the managers absolutely loved Scotty Mac. There was a reason why. An athlete, absolute ridiculous athlete. 6'3" or 4. Just a really, really good player. Now, there's a reason why everybody loved him. Now, he was sold at the time. I think the reason why he was sold was because ultimately nobody knew what position. Right? I think Amrin would love him now. I think Amrin would love him in this side. I still think there would be a conundrum as where to play him. If you look at Scott McTominay's stats, he's not a tackler. He really isn't. He's very good in the air, but where his strength lies is in that Bruno Fernandes Manioo position. He's very good at progressive carries, getting into the box. I feel offended, JB, you missed my comment. Sorry, buddy. Oh, Jesus. Let me go back. Klopp making a return. Yes, I can see him making a return if we get into serious trouble. To be honest, I want McTominay gone, as well as I thought he didn't fit the system. But Amrin, I think he does fit the system. It's easy to say we should have stayed at the time. McTominay's not playing well. If we lose, then it's bring X player back. If we win, we hear nothing. Exactly. Sorry, Scott. I do apologise, my friend. The thing is, if McTominay was highly thought of by the coaching team or by the board, then we should have kept him or put in a buyback clause. Interesting. Alpha FF, hi, what do you think of the performance? I thought performance-wise against Brighton, I thought it was a good performance. I felt comfortable. But we are still prone to errors. We're still prone to shut off. Our pivot isn't the best. And I was overall happy with the performance, but we do still have some way to go. Don't McTominay play left wing for Napoli? No, he's not a left winger. Not going to lie, Kevin De Bruyne injury looked nasty. Yeah, it did. So McTominay, look, where are we with him? So where this has come from, and this has come out over the last couple of days, is that Scott McTominay, whilst he is happy there, whilst he is adored, when he says a very good keeper is always crucial, I agree. So Kevin De Bruyne, Scott, I believe he got injured taking a penalty. I don't know quite what he's done. I think he's done an ACL. I think he's done something quite bad to his knee, taking a penalty. So it looks like he's going to be out for quite some time. Where he says, I'm glad we scored before. Things would have spoken about differently if it was 3-2 and we tried just defending. And these are the margins. Edot John says we need to stop looking back, bring in Baleba. Interesting comment there. Fair one as well. So McTominay, look, where are we on Scotty Mac? So this has all come from the fact that basically he's not happy. He's not happy. Alisson is number one. Do you agree? 100%, Wayne. I think Alisson is one of the best keepers in this league. And I like him a lot. I do. I think all-round fantastic keeper. So McTominay is not happy. then the reason why he's not happy is he's not happy with the privacy. Now, most footballers, most football players love all that, right? But I believe Naples, I've never been, is even though they're a massive club, football out there, their players are treated like gods, right? And McTominay is no different. He's treated like a god, and I think he's struggling, not being able to walk down the street. Not being able just to kind of have the quality of life that he was hoping for. Now, basically, to some players, they would absolutely love that. They sort of thrive on that attention. But I've always thought that Scotty Mac was a different sort of player, a very, very humble guy. And I think he's struggling with that sort of lifestyle. Now, whether or not this is ultimately true, whether or not that he would come back based on that, I think we're going to see that within the next year or so. I don't know how long he's got left on his contract. Is it a year or two? So I think if he is serious about coming back to the Premier League, then my question would be, would you take him back? How much money do you think he would cost? I think he would probably go for 45, 50 million. Would you bring him back for that? And I think that ultimately is probably the question. Where would he go? Would he get into a top 4, 5 Premier League team? I don't know. I don't know. If I was going to ask my question, would I bring Scott McTominay back to this club? I don't know. I don't believe in going backwards as a team. There's a reason why he was sold, and I don't know. I'm going to put that question out to you. Would you go get Scott McTominay back? So that's my question there for you guys. Scott says, no, we don't want Belabor. Early reports he's torn his ACL whilst taking a penalty. Ferdinand says, what do you think of Dorgu? Dorgu is one of those players. He's very, very young. I like Dorgu, but I think we need a more experienced left wing back. I think Dorgu is for the future. That's the thing about having young players, is they're going to be up and down. Dorgu is by no means the finished product. Young guy, he still needs to learn. And I think the problem with him at the moment is there's nobody to teach him. I think that's what he needs. I think he needs a left wing back of more experience, who's going to be there as competition, but is also going to help him, to support him to learn that position as well. So I think Dorgu's done okay. I do feel like he's taken a step backwards this season. I like him. He's very, very physical. He's very, very quick. But there are still certain traits like defending. I don't think he defends the best all of the time, but he's got good recovery pace. And going forward, I think he needs to learn to cross and pass a little bit better. So I think he's okay. But I do think we need a more experienced left wing back. So Jack says, let's take a moment to laugh at Celtic and bring the manager less after getting pumped 3-1 off Hearts. Yeah, I know some people suggested on here to get Rodgers potentially on a short-term deal if Amorim got sacked. No. I don't know what's going on there. Rodgers' contract is going to end at the end of the season. It's obviously ended not very well. So Celtic look like they're in a little bit of trouble. I wanted us to have 5 because then we would have been 3rd. I think Villa or Newcastle will get McTominay. Scott says Leon scored a fantastic solo goal the other day. He looks great, young player. Don't touch Rodgers with a 10-foot barge pole. I wouldn't have got Leon in my FC 26 team. He's a beast. Now, and these are all good points. When we are looking at left wing backs, could Leon come in? We are due. Final Destination says being old sucks. Why? Why does being old suck? Oh, for God's sake. Honestly. Anyway. yeah. Who knows with Leon? I am hoping that he comes good. So hopefully we should see something from him probably next season. Maybe he comes in towards the end of the season. And again, this is the problem that we're suffering from not being in the Carabao Cup. This is the problem that we're not from being in the Conference League, from the Europa League. If we had these games, you would see these players more. So it's very, very difficult at the moment to see where these players are going to get any game time. But fingers crossed, with one game a week, these players now do have more time to sort of learn, and actually the manager has more time to assess these players. So good segue into Zirkzee and Manioo. So there are stories, and this is Ornstein. So this is David Ornstein. This is not me plucking this out of my arse. David Ornstein is talking to NBC. Now, David Ornstein, they were talking about Zirkzee and Manioo. And basically, he basically said there's extremely low or a remote chance that either Zirkzee or Manioo will go on loan to West Ham, or in fact actually leave this season. So let me know what you think about that. Now, there is interest from Napoli for Manioo. Now, could this be United playing again? Could this be United, saying to clubs, look, absolutely Manioo is not for sale? Because one of the things we need to think about here with Manioo, the more he doesn't play, the lower the value gets, right? And there is no doubt that Manioo is a good player. Whether he fits the club or not is very, very difficult to see. I do think, let me read some of these chats. Thomas says, McTominay is a great player, but I think he will stay in Napoli. Show Sports Shoes. I do have another channel for that. And there will be a review of a shoe on that going out tomorrow. So feel free to check that out. Please don't tire me out, Patrick. It depends on what you say or do. So it depends on if you behave. Agree. Could you have done with a cup run so we can see the youth and see where they are? Yeah, this is why the Carabao Cup is so important. Is as much as we all take the mick out of it, it's so good. It's so good for bedding these players in. The Grimsby game should have been one of those games where we were able to play the youth. Now, because of how we have been over the last year, and this is why to me it is incredulous. It's so fucking ridiculous to suggest that we're in a title race right now. We can't even beat Grimsby, which is ridiculous. So this is why, if our team was better, we could have seen some more of these players. If we could have gone deeper into the competition, then we could have bedded in these players more, but we can't. So Jack says Jeff was good at left wing back for us, but we've left for a Brazilian team. Chelsea was looking at him, decent player, and wouldn't have cost much. Than they sold him for $5 million. Joby said, "Hi mate, thoughts on United, Tommy Robertson?" All I'm going to say, I'm not going to go too much into that because that's not what this channel is about. As long as it's done for the right reasons and there's no political affiliation, whatever you think of people are still capable of good things, right? And if that event is for the purposes of good and the purposes of helping people and there's no agenda, then fine. It's not something that I would support. I think you have to be very, very careful who you get behind. I mean that not in a thing sense. But just because somebody who is perceived in a political way, you can still do good. So I think you need to let your own thoughts and feelings and your own political affiliations let you do things like that. Getting him gone before he says something. Damn you, Grimsby. Any kind of exactly, Scott. I'll tell you a good play we had as well. Calvin Bassey on the left. He was a machine. I've met, and exactly, and this is it, right, Scott? You can still have an opinion about somebody without having a political agenda. I try to not have political views on here because whilst you've got a platform, I think it's responsible of me to be as neutral and as balanced as possible because I'm not trying to sway people. But it doesn't mean that you guys can't have your opinions. On here, people have different beliefs, opinions, and there's nothing wrong with you guys like having that opinion. It's just that I'm not gonna have that. I'm not gonna read necessarily that out, but people have their political opinions on that themselves. So I think Zirkzee, where are we? So Ornstein again having his say, basically saying that Zirkzee and Manioo are there is extremely remote or chance of them leaving the club in the next window, and definitely not to West Ham. Now, what we've got, there are a couple of factors that we need to think about here. Is David Ornstein is basically the mouthpiece of this club, whether people like that or not. It is true. Dino, you're completely right, my friend. Ornstein, I think, is doing the job for United. Now, do I think these players are for sale 100%? As it was said in the summer and when Ineos took over, that every player has a price. Now, I think what I was saying is that what I think this is, particularly with the likes of Manioo, is they're trying to force somebody to make an offer, right? They are letting it known that he's not happy. Does Manioo want to move? 100%. Mel276 says hi. Hello. Jackie says try being a Rangers supporter. A fair comment. I think this is being put out there by the club to potentially force people to make an offer, right? If you're saying that Manioo is definitely not going to leave, then somebody then has to come into this company and say, look, we will offer you a ridiculous bid. Now, my question to you guys right now, before I go get some water, is what do you think Manioo's value is right this second? Before I go get some water, what do you think Manioo's value is right this second? Let me know. Let me know what you think the value of Manioo is right this second. Now, after that first season that Manioo had, I would have said that his value is probably close up to around about that 65, 70, some people said 80 million mark. My guess is around 4p. I'm with Scott and Dino on this one. I think probably up and around, I think 50 million. Now, the reason why I would go for the top end of that is because of his age. And so Jackie makes a good point. A player is really only worth what another club is willing to pay for him, depending on how much they want him. And Jackie, I think that's probably the most intelligent point. It's true. Something is only worth what the value you're prepared to pay for him. Now, I would put a value on him, bearing in mind the potential that he has and the age, up and around £50 million. But as so Jackie says there, it really depends on what someone else will value him at. Now, the danger we got here is whilst he doesn't play, whilst he won't go to a World Cup, his value will drastically reduce, I believe, next year as well. And if you can't get him on another contract, which he may not want to sign the contract, then again, are we going to go down the route of 40 million again? This is why this Manioo deal is I think is one the club really needs to get right. They could be right. You let him go for £45 million, 40 plus 5. And he may end up, and as Dina says there, would you put in a buyback clause? I think you'd find it very, very difficult. I think if he went to this is just me being, if he went to a Madrid, if you went to a Man City, if you went to an Arsenal, there is no way they would allow that to be put into the contract. However, if you went to like an Aston Villa, then possibly you could actually put that in. So would I try to put it in? Yes. But I think you'd find it very, very difficult to put it in a club who is, who is a rival. Would I want to sell him to a rival club? No. But I think that if you were to sell him to like a Napoli, or a Spanish club, then I think absolutely, I think you could possibly negotiate that, and I think I absolutely would try to put that into the contract. So Jackie says Casemiro is the perfect example. 60 million, you're never making that back, but United wanted him. Casemiro was a panic buy bought by people who have no idea about football clubs. Casemiro was bought by a football club at a time who were toxic, bought by people in charge of the football club, in charge of the football inside, who had no fucking idea what they were doing. I understand the Casemiro signing, but to buy a 30-year-old who Madrid basically got to the end of his career and then sold for 60 million. I applaud Madrid. I do. If targets are met like goals and appearance, Casemiro, we won't get any money back. Even Saudi doesn't want Casemiro, David, and you'll make a good point. And this is the question I will ask on the basis now we are talking about Manioo and Zirkzee, and we'll come on to Zirkzee as well, is I've been looking at Casemiro stats, right? And as I always prefix this with stats, is the eye test. Now, I'm very, very critical of him on the basis that he's very, very slow, and I think he's done. But watching him and looking at how we play, in that double pivot, when we're trying to attack in that way, he's not brilliant because he's got no legs. His brain is still there, but he's got no legs. But when we compact and he's playing in front of that back three as a destroyer and a disruptor, he's brilliant. I will hold my hands up on this, and there were plenty of people on here who have said, Casemiro, I won't take it on board with Luke Shaw. I am where I am with him. But Casemiro in that when Casemiro is in that defensive position in front of a back three and he's got people with legs in front of him there, brilliant. And I've been looking at his stats, and whilst I think that he's always a yellow card away, I can understand why he plays in that position. Because right now, Casemiro, and this is the fault of, I would say, of the club, is that Casemiro right now is the best defensive midfielder that we have. Fact. So I'm actually beginning to warm to Casemiro this season. I think, considering the job he's been asked to do at his age, I actually blame the midfielders who can't push him out. I actually think that as a midfield disruptor, his stats are bloody brilliant. It doesn't mean he's perfect. Doesn't mean I want him to stay. But I actually think Casemiro as that destroyer in that bit between just in front of that back three and just before you get to the centre circle, he's brilliant. Useless in an open pivot. Useless in an attacking pivot. Doesn't have pace. But I'm actually starting to warm into him. So Jack says, to be fair, he played well. He did. Casemiro to the Mexican League. Saw earlier that there are rumours of Conor Gallagher. Interested in thoughts? Yeah, I'll give you my thoughts on that. As we've spoken about him this season already, I like him. I think as a signing, I think as a loan signing, loan to buy, and obviously depending on price, I think he'd be I like the signing. I do. Mario says Ronaldo versus Messi. Depends really. Tulip Play says, hi JB. You don't need to be very quick to play CDM. You need to be clever in what passes and chance created. Agree with you. Scott, so nothing Casemiro. So, look, I'm critical of Casemiro as well, right? But when we play in a compact pivot and we play compact, Casemiro is very, very good in there. It's just when we're more expansive, when we have an open pivot, he's just not great. But I think, as Scott says there, when he's a proper CDM, in fact, I think he'd be better in front of a back four. It's how it looks at what we're saying. Kevin has good stats. I'm going to watch his film to get a better evaluation, and we'll come on to him as well. Is Jamie Vardy getting a film yet? I have no idea, mate. Which team stretch us? When team stretches, he struggles. Exactly, Dino. Exactly that. So I get Casemiro. I get why he's in there. I'm actually warming to Casemiro. He still frustrates the hell out of me. He's still prone to mistakes. But right now, it's a failure. It's a failure on the other midfielders where they cannot dislodge a 34-year-old Casemiro who looks like he's running on sand. What do you think will happen with Bruno? Anyone's guess. Do I think Bruno Fernandes will go? I think it depends. I think Scott's right. I think if we get Champions League, I think Bruno Fernandes stays. I think if we don't, I think he goes. So I think it's pretty much based on that. I do think Scott's right. I think top 4 Champions League, he stays. I think anything outside of that, and he goes. Casemiro is fine for 60 minutes, 1 game per week, but we still need to sign a CM in. Yeah, agree completely. So Connor, right? So Gallagher, we spoke about him on here. We have gone through his stats, and I think as a loan signing, I think he's great. I'd be happy to sign him. Liam, mate, are you really coming on the channel with banter, right? And that is your fucking banter. United have 1 billion fans worldwide, right? Liam, we don't mind banter. Please come back with something fucking better than that. Jesus Christ. Honestly, you're 12 miles from the ground. What does that even mean? So what you're saying, basically, so we've got 1 billion fans, Liam, just hear me out, right? We've got 1 billion fans around the world, right? So therefore, I'm going to probably suggest that 0.0, I'm going to suggest 1%, or probably less than 1% of fans are from Manchester, right? And then without the billions of fans, you do understand that our club wouldn't be as big as it is. Don't know, mate. Don't know, mate. Mate, I don't know, mate. I just, yeah. I'll let the chat handle you, Liam, because I don't need to. Chip, Liam, I don't need to deal with you. That's what the chat's for. The chat will deal with you in their own way. I love it. We're probably top 3 or 4 with Real Madrid and Barcelona. So Zirkzee. Tulip plays. Love it. So Zirkzee. So Zirkzee's the other one on his on here. Jamie Rugg says they love to hate us, brother. We are United. Exactly. Look, guys, I don't need. You guys are amazing. There's people in this chat who come on, and that's why you guys are amazing, because people they don't understand. They come on here and they think that they're just gonna come on here and do what they like. This is your channel, your community, And you guys can deal with him how you see fit. Zirkzee. So I want to know your opinion on Zirkzee. According to Ornstein, again, he's definitely not going to go to West Ham. What do we think about Zirkzee? Liam was miles offside. He was. Liam was left back in the changing room. So Zirkzee, what do we think of Zirkzee? So my initial opinion on this is that when Mbeumo goes to the AFCON, when Ahmad goes to the AFCON, there is an opportunity here for the likes of Manioo, for the likes of Zirkzee. Now, would I let Zirkzee go? No. I like Zirkzee. Would I let Manioo go? No. However, if Amrin has no intention of playing Manioo, sell him. I mean, if Amrin has no intention of selling these players, loan them at the very least. Go and get players who can come into the squad and play. I 100% do not want Zirkzee to go. No Zirkzee on Zirkzee, but there's potential. Lawrence, and I like Zirkzee. I think that there's potential there. You know, he came on and I was impressed. I like Zirkzee. I like his height. I like his physicality, even though he lost the smaller man for the goal. Laura says Zirkzee out. Interesting. Look, Laura, give me opinions. Let me know your opinion. I'll tell you why I would keep him. I would tell you why. You can gift some shoes. Why? Why do I give? Why do I need to give shoes? Tell me why. If you can give me a compelling reason as to why I should gift out shoes, then I will. But no. Laura, negative ball knowledge. The Deadwood. Laura, I am all for opinion, right? Now there are people in who are going to have a different opinion. I will happily read your opinion out. And Laura, I don't disagree. You know, many people see Zirkzee as that. I don't. I think he's been given a rough ride for the majority of his time here. But I do fully accept that if you've got a player like him sat there and he's not doing anything, what do you do with him? I feel bad for Liam. Imagine being born grogging. Zirkzee, though, I see potential. But when I watch him, I see championship player, not a Prem player. I think United is too early for him. If we finish top 4, give some shoes away. Any sports shoes. Leave it with me. Let me think about it. If we get to if we finish top 4, and I'm not committing to this, by the way. If we do finish top 4, then I would do something. I will give something away. No, I won't give away any sports shoes because some sports shoes are like 300 quid. And look, right, this channel at present, whilst there are super chats and everything on this channel basically doesn't make any money just yet. So, you know, if a player doesn't do anything, sell them. You can't spend all day talking about other men. Get a real job. Rabbit. Rabbit. I've got another job, mate. I've got a job, mate. I've got a full-time job and I do this around my job, mate. I fucking hustle. And Rabbit, I guarantee you, I hustle more than you do. So I've actually got a full-time job, which I'm very, very good at my job. I do my job and I'm able to do this as well. And I'm a dad. So I fucking hustle, mate. So if you, Rabbit, if you don't like it, take your stupid name and fuck off. Simple as that. Good afternoon. What clubs are interested in Scott McTominay? I think at the moment, this is more about McTominay wanting to leave. At this point, there are no clubs necessarily in for him. These are reports that Scott McTominay wants to leave on the basis that basically he's treated like a god, and it's not something that he likes. Minik says, Sweden, you. Hello, my friend. I'm UK. Rabbit, you're watching someone at this time of day. You get a job here. Exactly. Roxy says, all the way from Uganda. Lots of love. What's up with the trolls today? You are a legend, brother. Look, people are going to hate. People will hate. Everybody hates. 2 p.m. Tuesday, but you've got full-time job. Cladding is hard, buddy. You don't know what I do, Rabbit. I guarantee you what I do is difficult. You have no idea what the fuck I do. 2 p.m, mate. What I do is none of your business. I work extremely hard. I do this. I'm a dad. Rabbit, don't come on here giving it shit. If you don't like it, you troll, fuck off. Simple as that. Simple as that. Go back to the cladding and leave us people do our thing. A crane worker does agreed. Exactly. Surely Scott Mack would stay. He's doing better abroad. Still not harder than cladding. Get a job. Rabbit, as I say, you fucking melt. I've got a job. Got a very, very good job. A very well-paid job. And I do this as well. So, you know, just look. Someone's house needs to be sorted out. So why don't you go there and do that, my friend? Tonight I'm counting on Grimsby losing, then I can have a last laugh after they beat us. Gamer Boy says hello. He's definitely proud to be a cladder. Grimsby hate watch is crazy. Look, people should be proud. Look, right. I might be taking the piss, right? But there is no, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, it doesn't matter what job you do. If you're a cleaner, if you're a cladder, whatever you do, respect. Like, I'm absolutely, my job is no better than anyone else's. I'm not better than anybody else. It doesn't matter if you, like, my family, my grandparents cleaned toilets. They clean toilets for a living. They bought a house. Working class. I'm working class. Money is money. It doesn't matter what you do. You work hard for your money. Respect completely. So to me, I respect everybody, from the cleaner all the way to the king. It's got no thing here from me. JB, serious question with the channel: how much growth would be enough subs views for you to do this full time? I've got the subs, but it's all about views, right? Realistically, what I would need to do this full time is I'd probably need to get to like 100k subs, and then probably like 10,000 views every single video. Roughly, you kind of need about 10%, roughly. The channel is monetized, but you need sponsorship, really. It takes a while. So the channel is doing the right thing. Basically, mate, it's all about views. As many views, if we could get, like 10,000 views a video, if we could get 20,000 views, that would be that. So it's difficult, mate. It's a hustle. We've got the subscriber base. We just need more views, and then once that happens, then full time I can do loads and loads of stuff. But yeah, until that happens, we just got to put up with the trolls, right? What's my job? What's my job? I am a finance IT consultant, accountant by trade. So yeah, can't wait for a next league game with Forest. We need a proper DM. The Rich coming from someone's username. That's Rich. Nikarutsu, I love it. Scott says 100k. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's once you're into that 100k mark, that's when you start to that's when you really start to sort of, get in the income to be able to do this. I appreciate you doing this on your free time. You sacrifice your time, which is more valuable. And Jamie, mate, this is why I say the same to you guys as well. Support on this channel, is just fantastic, mate. He's supporting the United. Gaza says, "Yo, we need Belieber from Brighton. I will donate you some money. How much do you want?" Look, mate. Look. This channel is all about organic growth, right? I am not a channel that's going to go cap in hand to people. If you want to do that for the channel, then that's fantastic. That is amazing. What I'm more concerned about is I'm more concerned about you guys. Or what I want you to do is I want you guys to view the channel. There are super chats on there. There are subscriptions, but this channel is not about that. This channel is about, as much as that's cool, this channel is about you guys, and I'd much rather build up the views and build up the organic views rather than me expecting you guys to give me money, right? Because it's just no. I am probably the worst salesperson in the world. What's more important to me is the interaction between us guys. If you guys want to give some money to the channel, that's amazing. That will all go back into the channel. It's all there, my friend. So yeah, I mean, everything is appreciated, and it all goes back into the channel. So yeah. Let's have a little look. Do you want me to donate you some money or not? Look, mate, it's up to you, mate. I can't look. I'm not the sort of person, right, who asks for money. I can't do it. And I appreciate you. I really, really do, right? But I can't. I'm not going to ask you for money, mate. That is just not my style. Gaza, you don't need to. It's there. If you know, I can't do it, mate. I can't. I'm asking the live streamer. It says, Goldfish says, hello, me too. I can see we are interested in Anderson, but with 100 mil price tag, is he worth that? Exactly, and we can go into that slightly as well. It can be 200k, 100k for him, and 100k for the chat. This is a great channel. Always try to catch it when I can. What's your thoughts on United potentially going back in for Steeler? Nicholas, I like Steeler. I do, mate. I do. I like Steeler. I hope we go back in for him. I really, really do. I like his attributes. He's maybe not the most defensive of players, but I really, really do like what he brings. I really like he's a progressive ball carrier. I like him a lot. So I think him and Anderson would be the two that I'd go for. Think I'd have a heart attack if I got 100k super chat. Look, if I got 100k super chat, then this goes full time instantaneously. I would go for Stiller. I hope United do. He looks the part. I'm missing the midfield that we need. Bisham says it's normal to get this much in your tube stream, giving people any amount. Belieber is set to be history. He's obviously not come in time to move on. Dino Hughes says yes. Look, guys, you guys seem to care more about this than me, right? Look, the channel is there for people to like super chats, all that sort of shit is on here, right? But we're not that sort of channel. I'd love to do this full time. My aim of this channel, I had no aim. The aim of this channel primarily is to come on here, we have a great time, and let's see what happens. We dodged the bullet of not signing Belieber. Gaza says hello. Hello, Gaza. Hello, my friend. Legend. Absolute legend, my friend. If you would give me like 100k, mate, you go for it. Look, Gaza. Or look, what I'm going to say, again, right? I love it, and I appreciate you wanting to support the channel, right? All I'm going to say to you, mate, is I appreciate it. Really, really do. Man, I 100% do, right? You give what you feel like you want to give. I'm not a sort of person that asks for money. I'm just not. That's just me, right? It's up to you, my friend. If you want to support the channel, there is no obligation to support this channel. If you do, my friend, then it is appreciated more than you can ever know. And I genuinely thank you, even just for considering it. So I genuinely, I'm not going to ask. I don't beg. I don't ask. It's up to you, my friend. I'd love to come here after I lost to read the comments. Do it. If you Nikarutsu, I love it. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, Sancho. Let's talk about him. So there is news on Sancho. Of course, there is now. We spoke about this in the summer as well, about Jadon Sancho being a shitbag. No intention of signing a new contract. Now, what we do have here is a standoff. Do we continue to give Jadon Sancho £1 million a month? Do we activate the year's deal, hoping that somebody will come to buy him? Okay. Or do we just let him go now? Now, the problem here is this is going to be a financial football choice, right? £75 million wasted on this player. £1 million wasted on this player a week. Do we hope that we can recoup some of that money by basically extending the contract? Or do we take the risk that he's going to run the contract down? I'd love to know your opinions on this. I'll give you my opinions as well. 100k donation live chat party. Exactly. Sancho Thompson, Arabic. Sancho is a fine example. Gaza said, Gaza, I've got a job, mate. Like I've always said, Gaza, I've got a job. I don't need your money. This is why I don't ask for money, Gaza, because I don't need it. And Gaza, what you've just done, my friend, you've absolutely just exposed yourself. So I don't need to waste my time on you, Gaza. I think, Gaza, you've definitely got problems, mate. Sancho is poison. I just don't want him anywhere near. The ego is bigger than the Grand Canyon. Sancho's situation is done. Cut our losses and let him go. Dortmund didn't want him back because of the attitude problems. You can't deny that he wasted the time. Yeah, and I'm with you. Look, Sancho is. We need to accept that we failed. Mr. Void Scribe says, "All right, lad. I'm very, very well, and I hope you are as well." Marina says, "Hello from sunny Greece." Hello, my friend. So I think what I would do with Sancho, I think I would cut a loss. I think I'd absolutely admit defeat. Bobby, there are trolls beyond belief today, but it is what it is. You know that you can't go swimming unless you get a bit wet. Trolls have no impact on me whatsoever. I've been doing this now without this channel. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, so no issue to me. They're just ridiculous. So I think Sancho, for me, I think we just need to accept the loss. Do we want to pay another £1 million a month trying to, just in case we get some money for him? So for me, I think we just admit defeat. Sancho is a money grabber. Sancho is, we all know what he is. He's a waste of space. He's got no interest in playing football. All he wants to do is play FIFA. He's got no interest in being a professional football player. There's no pride there. Sancho for me is an absolute must. Gone. Wise United says you're doing very well on the channel. Thank you so much. Look, guys, I'm loving the support today. Again, back at you guys, because the support that you show the channel is amazing, and this is why I do try and read out all of your chat. So Sancho for me is a no. The only other thing I wanted to talk about before I go is Kevin Filling. Now, Kevin Filling, who is he? This is according to Pletigol. He is a 16-year-old striker, and apparently there is a deal to be done for £3.5 million. Now, he's 16, plays for AIK in Sweden. He is Swedish. two goals in seven games. If you look at him, he looks like a beast. 16 years old, he looks older than that. Now, this is probably going to be the one that is going to go into the youth team again. We're building up this youth setup. I don't see any product coming out of the youth as such. So interesting. He does look good. Look him up. Nick Russo said crazy. Thought he was Cristiano, but no better than Anthony. Sancho wasn't born. Some mad scientist created this monster. Exactly that. So I think Kevin Filling, Pletigo, go and check this kid out. 16 years old, £3.5 million. From the initial things that I've seen of this kid, he looks pretty good. Again, this is one, got to temper that expectation. 16 years old. Is he going to come into the squad and is he going to come in and do anything major? I don't think so. This is one for the future. Nick, put this towards Sancho's taxi out of Old Trafford. Nick Aruzo, thank you, my friend. Legend. Absolutely legend. Well, mate, I mean, it's just thank you so much, my friend. It is just, again, amazes me that you guys give me the time of day, and then when you give to the channel, absolutely amazing. So what I will do is I will give that to Sancho. I will be paying for his taxi out of the club. We can all club together and get rid of this clown. So Nick Aruzo, legend of this channel, mate, you've been here for quite some time and I fully appreciate you, mate. So thank you so much for that. Russell says, hello, good evening, Russell. I hope you're doing extremely well. Bobby says, Nick Aruzo is a legend. Absolutely. CYA Queen says, sir, where is Sid Vicious? I don't know. I feel sorry for the midwife who brought Sancho into the world. Congrats, Mr. Sancho. You have a future waste of space with a large ego. Hi, mate. Thanks for the Can I return him anytime? Just leave your... Nice. Thanks, mate. Russell, thanks, pal. I'm not going to read that out. Thanks, mate. The banhammer comes down. The banhammer strikes again. United should make a stipulation of when you intentionally play for Sancho, laziness, effort, and cut his wages to around a quarter. £5 of the 100k. Sancho might as well stay in nightclubs and drink the bars dry. Exactly. So Sancho, for me, what a waste of space. What a waste of space. Please come back 4-4-2. I'd probably go for 4-3-3, but I do take that point. So Sancho, for me, look, there is no way. Like, as a club, we need to take the hit. Right, I think we've paid Sancho off. £75 million fee wasted. Another £60 million wasted in pay as well. We all know Sancho's a merc. I just want this waste of space out of this club. I've got no time for him. As I said in the summer, when we were being linked to different players like Juventus, Napoli, I think at one point, Roma. There is no way that this mercenary, money-grabbing waste of time was going to go and leave this club. There is no way that he wants us to get a fee for him. He's going to run his contract down. And if anybody thinks in this club that Sancho is going to leave for any sort of cash, then they are mistaken. So what I would do is I'd sack him. I would pay him off. In fact, I would sack him now. You're basically going to end up paying him £1 million a month anyway. Obviously, Villa are paying some of that pay, so fine. But the end of the season, would I inactivate that year? No. I would admit defeat, leave him on his way, and that's it for Sancho. So I think for me, if we enact that year's contract, I think we are ridiculous. And I think, again, that will be another mistake. Sancho could end up being a new swear word. I agree. Oh no, not take talking about Snake Show. Again, afternoon, everybody. Stephanie, welcome. United with 3 centre-backs so weak. Sancho is the entire bomb squad rolled into one package. To think we sold Prime Ronaldo for 80 million, we only buy Donkey for 73 million. Exactly that, right? What else did I want to talk about? So pretty much that is pretty much what I've gone to go through. The only other thing to talk about, the only other thing to mention, CR7 says hi, I'm back. Sorry, no need to apologise, my friend. Absolutely welcome here anytime. Thank you for coming back. So where are we? Anderson, according to Pletigo and a lot of other reports, basically £100 million. So the United tax is going strong. Now, my question here would be, Anderson, would you sign him for £100 million? Well, it says, can you imagine what Sancho would be like if he turned to crime? I think he's too much of a pussy, mate. I think Sancho would go hiding, mate. Sancho is. If Sancho, do you wear 100% cotton zip hoodies with a hood? No. What a really weird thing to say. No. I don't, my friend. I do wear hoodies. I do wear hoodies. I don't specifically wear what you were saying. I would pay 50 to 65 for Anderson. Sancho's mum should. Scott, you're cracking me up. Possibly. Anderson at 100 million is overpriced. Yeah, I mean, look, there is going to be a United tax attached to this. Do I think Anderson at 100 million is overpriced? Of course he is. One good season doesn't make you the next best thing. And I think for 100 million, would I walk away? Yes. As much as I like him, I think there are, one of the things I wish that we would do is scout better. Do I think there is the next Baleba out there? Do I think that the next Kante is out there? Of course they are. I think that we need to go and sign somebody like Stiller. Humland has been mentioned again. Humland is going to leave Sporting at the end of the season. Humland has been mentioned again. Now, Baleba, for me, I don't think all is lost. I think if you can get him at a good price, I think he's still worth a look. Stiller, for me, I think would be the one. I think right now, I do think we need 2. So whether that is a Wharton is, for me, is a specialist. He's not necessarily one that I would gravitate to, but I do understand that people do like him. But for me, Baleba, Anderson, Stiller, Anderson. But if we're talking about 100 million for him, then it's an absolute no from me at that price. Well, I said you can buy 2 players for 100 million. Agreed. Completely agreed. How did you react when Sheringham and Ollie scored? Jesus Christ. I was 16 years old. I think I actually hurt myself. I just exploded out of the chair. I was just ridiculously excited. I think I might have jumped up and banged something. I think I broke something. It was ridiculous. Yeah, it was just unbelievable. The first time. Do you know what? I think I might have even cried a little bit. Yeah, it was crazy. Nick Russo says Baleba and loan to buy option would be better. See how he adapts into the team. And I'm with you. I am with you on that one. I think Baleba, an option to buy. Agree. Look, is he like £100 million player? No. Brighton are not going to get the bidding war. I don't think that they want to. I think if we can do a loan to buy, or maybe agree a price 55, 60 million, depending on how he does, I think that would be a fair deal. So I think I completely agree with you. Anderson, one good season doesn't make him doesn't mean we have to throw that sort of money. I do agree with you. He's good, but let's see by the end of the season. Opus for the health. Welcome, my friend. Low price for Anderson, would say yes. 100 million too much. He could end up being a prize lemon. 100 million down the drain. And these are the deals that we need to walk away from. Declan Rice, was he a gamble? Potentially, but Premier League proven player over multiple seasons. We if we're going to drop that sort of money on a player, he needs to have been consistent for at least two to 3 seasons. But the problem at the moment is that while Wirtz has inflated the market, people want these sorts of players now. The stats and comparisons you gave on Anderson has convinced me that he is the perfect fit. 4212. Thank you, my friend. He's brilliant, mate. I really like him. I really do. For me, he would be my number 1 target, along with a Steeler or a I think those two for me. Off topic, if anyone wants to do Battlefield 6, Warzone goes live today at 3 p.m. Paul Brady says, what Liverpool players would you sign if available? Who would I sign? I would sign Ekitike. I like him a lot. I like McAllister. I do like him a lot. Szoboszlai as well. So I think I would probably go for Szoboszlai. I like McAllister. I also like Ekitike as well. I do like him a lot. Gakpo as well. Actually, I really like Gakpo. So I think those sorts of players. I mean, Isak for me too much money. Wirtz for me would be a risk. Alisson, as much as I like him, I think he's a fantastic keeper. Injury prone-ish now as he's getting older. So I think for me, I would go for those ones. Maybe a Kirkes as well. So I think those sorts of players. Declan Rice, not really a gamble, was proven. Fair point. We don't have the money tree outside Old Trafford. We can't even repair our leaky roof at the stadium, let alone buy this player for that amount of money. We have a good player in Bermo. One word for Tevez. One word for Tevez. What do I think of Tevez? I really liked Tevez. One word for Tevez. I'm trying to think of a word without being too harsh, but I think snake, would probably be the word that I'd use for him. He could have gone to anybody else, but he went to City. And I think he could have gone anywhere else just out of respect, but he didn't. So why should I respect Tevez? Forget signing VVD, could sign Dick Van Dijk instead. I know because they're bin dippers. Tevez rat, traitor, Tevez terrier. You look a bit like Mark Goldbridge. Oscar, that's not the first time that I've heard that. I think it's pretty much because of the hair, the glasses. Even though he's got a better hairline than me, he's got thicker hair than me, and his channel is absolutely fucking massive. So I think that's probably where the similarities end there. And we're both men of a certain age. So which is fine with me. So guys, on that note, I'm going to go. I will be back this evening. We'll do a late night show. I've not done one of those for a little while, and we'll just have a free-for-all day. Mate, I've been. Where do you think Leeds are finishing? I think Leeds will finish mid-table. Again, Leeds are going to have one of those seasons where they do reasonably well and then they drop off. I don't think they will. I think Leeds will be mid-table. I think Leeds could have a decent season. So that's what I think they'll be. I think there are much worse teams than Leeds. I think Leeds will be absolutely fun. So yeah, guys, thank you very much. Nikarutsu, big thank you to him. Massive, mate. It's just unreal, the support that you give to the channel, mate. Thank you so much. But thank you to everybody else as well for your comments, to the moderators as well. You guys do a fantastic job. Thank you to those people in the chat as well. This channel grows and grows and grows, and we get bigger and bigger and bigger every single day. Steady wins the race. And as I say, we may not be the biggest, but we are the best. Simple as that. There is no contest. We may get some absolute wallies in here, but it is what it is. We can't help that. So guys, I will be back this evening. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, wherever you are. You guys are legends, absolute legends. Thank you for the support, guys. Exactly that. So guys, I will be back this evening with a late night show. So bring in your stuff. Different sort of show. It's your show. So yeah, bring in the topics that are important to you, and we can go back through stuff, and we can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. So guys, on that note, thank you again, and I will see you. Yes, stats. Yes, Scott. I'll do stats. I'll bring in Valverde tonight, and we'll do those stats tonight. Yes, thank you, my friend. So stat show tonight. See you guys in a bit, and yeah, catch you later. 41-2, much love to you, my friend, as well. I'm loving the love today. Brilliant. So guys, I'll see you tonight. Peace out.